Miranda sat calmly in her chair, reading over some of the notes to prepare herself for another chat of one of the family members. 2 minutes after the parents departed, she heard the door shuffling before it was slowly opened. Lori looked around cautiously before stepping inside. "Lori?" The 17-year-old nodded. "Okay then. I believe you already know my name, so I can skip the introduction. Please take a seat." Lori sat on the lounging chair with her back straight with a frown-adorned expression on her face. This didn't go unnoticed. "Don't worry, dear. All we're doing is talk things over. You won't be in trouble for anything. And if you wish to keep certain information private, I won't tell a soul. Sound good?" "Alrighty then. Now, what seems to be troubling you?" This was probably a stupid question, but Miranda needed to break the ice. The teen sat in silence for a moment, only staring at the floor. "Everything. Home life is a wreck. My school life and reputation's in pieces. My love of my life is dead. Now my only brother is at the clinic, and I think I'm going to kill him in his sleep." Lori paused. "And right now, I'm pretty sure it's literally my fault that the things turned out the way they did." "Care to elaborate this?" "What else is there? I don't know what you talked about with my parents, but it all adds up. If I didn't get into that stupid fight with Lenny, our sister fight protocol wouldn't have happened. Everything would still be as they were, but and then Lincoln, he..." Lori couldn't finish the sentence without tears forming in her eyes. Miranda could feel the 17-year-old's pain, but she needed to delve deeper into this. "Okay then, let's take a step back for a moment. Aside from what happened recently, what is home life usually like? What you go through every day when your family's in better spirits." Lori grabbed a tissue and wiped her eyes, not caring if her makeup was smudged. "Normally things at home can be pretty chaotic. I'd be on the phone talking with my boyfriend. In fact, that's what all my siblings think I do." The teen stayed a little irritably, getting an expecting look from the doctor. Okay, I do talk on my phone a lot, but that doesn't mean I don't take note of my siblings' activities. Lenny is usually going on about the latest fashion trends. Luna's already thinking of a new song. Luann's always cracking up corny jokes. Lynn keeps trying to make little thing she does into a sport. The teen then paused and took a breath. "Lincoln, he's usually very busy reading his favorite comics. A Savvy, I believe. Lucy's busy writing poems. I wish she'd stopped popping up at random times. I swear one of those days, she's gonna wound up being punched in the face if she does that to a random person. Lola and Lana usually fight over something trivial, and when they aren't, Lana's usually feeding her reptiles, and Lola's always looking at herself in the mirror to keep her pageantry. Lisa's always in her room working on whatever experiment she had in mind, and Lily, being the baby, just does whatever she wants." "I see." Miranda scribbled down some notes. "Given how you kept a close eye on your siblings, what would you say you have a strong relationship with them?" That was difficult to answer in Lori's mind. There was no doubt that she knew her siblings viewed her as being bossy, dominating, and tyrannical. Sometimes she even used her age as an excuse to get whatever she wants. In fact, she has done this numerous times and made it clear that she liked to be seen as a superior to them. What a girl wouldn't? However, Lori did have a few good reasons for her behavior. Yes, I do. My sisters and brother often think I am this self-absorbed person that pushes them around due to the fact that I'm the oldest. Unfortunately, they are right about to a degree. But that doesn't mean I don't love them. I love everyone in my family, even though I don't know it or show it that often. Even if I have to threaten them, I'm only doing what's best for them. Anytime Mom and Dad leave the house, I'm always put in charge. None of my siblings like it because I'm practically this drill sergeant that I have with them to spend the rest of the night in their rooms. What's your reasoning for this? If I let them do whatever they want, we literally wouldn't have a house to live in." Lori lied down as she went into a deep thought. "When I was 9, my parents felt it was okay for me to start looking after everyone else while they went out. I only had 6 siblings then. Lucy was just a few months old. I was both excited and nervous because I didn't want to let my parents down. At least we would finally have some freedom. And I just let everyone else do what they wanted. We had a few issues, but as the family grew into size and age, things went crazier." In the flashback, a 13-year-old Lori was running around the house trying to control her siblings. Rita and Lynn Sr. went to the movies roughly 2 hours ago, and the eldest sibling was growing increasingly worried that they'd be home any minute. "Lynn, stop playing soccer in the house!" Lori yelled, ducking as a fermented ball came screaming at her. "Urgh!" She spotted an infant Lisa dueling on the wall. "Lisa, you can't write on the wall!" Lori stated as the crayon fell from her. The teen was a bit shocked to see her doodle actually come to some sort of math problem. This made the baby start to cry, making Lori cringe. "Okay, you could write it for 5 minutes." Lisa then blew a raspberry at her before giggling. The 13-year-old then spotted the twins, only 2 years old, fighting over a doll. "Mine!" Lola yelled. "Mine!" Lana yelled. "Mine! Mine! No, mine!" Lola took the doll with more force and bopped her twin in the head. "Mine!" In rage, Lana pounced on her, and the big cloud of violence had moved throughout the living room, nearly hitting Lincoln and Lucy, who were sitting on the couch. The duo was too engrossed in watching ARG to pay attention to their surroundings. "Not again," Lori groaned awkwardly. However, she needed to get Lynn, who was kicking the ball around the house. Amazingly, the girl hadn't broke anything yet. "Lenny, can you unwrangle the twins? I gotta get Lynn." Lenny poked her head out of the kitchen before quickly going back to get some water. Lori had no idea what she was going to do, but she hoped that she would quell at least the two beasts. Lori chased Lynn up the stairs, and the 9-year-old taunting her the whole while. Lynn was already growing to be quite a quickster, as the 13-year-old had issues catching her, to the point where the teen had lost track of the sports fanatic. Growing increasingly frustrated, Lori decided to use her brains instead of her muscle. "Okay, Lynn, you win," she sang. "I'll let you play soccer all you want." Lori then ducked into one of the rooms. Lynn poked her head out of the closet and entered the hall, checking for any sign of the blonde. Thinking that he lost her, Lynn hummed herself while kicking the ball repeatedly into the air. She made her way to the steps, as the jock a little failed to notice someone creeping up behind her. "Gotcha!" Lori yelled, as she tackled the girl. Unfortunately, this caused the both of them to tumble over some steps. Lori quickly braced herself so she could take most of the brunt force while protecting the 9-year-old in her arms. When they reached to the bottom, the two girls suddenly found a custard on their faces. A 10-year-old Luann was laughing. "Guess who got a pie in their face?" Lori and Lynn groaned in annoyance, having found their passion for comedy when she was 8 years old. The little girl was doing her best to become the aspiring comedian. Lynn Sr. definitely approved of her jokes, but to everyone else, not so much. You'd think after 2 years she might have gotten better. Meanwhile, Luna came down and sat next to her sibling on the couch. Being only 11, she was quite troubled with wondering what kind of activity she'd be interested in. This was especially worrisome, as Luann and Lynn seemed to have found their passions quite early. The little girl was now too interested in watching anything about ghosts, so she grabbed her remote to change the channel. "Hey, we were watching that!" Lincoln yelled. "Sorry, Lincoln, but I'm not interested in spooky stuff," Luna stated, randomly flipping through the channels. "Spooky," Lucy said. "Well, me and Lucy were here first, so give me that!" The 7-year-old grabbed for the remote. However, Luna wasn't too keen on giving up the control of the TV. Pretty soon, all 3 of the siblings were squabbling over the remote. Lenny came back with the pitcher, doused water on the twins, hoping to put out the little flame war. "You guys seem heated, so I wanted to cool you down," the blonde said cheerfully. However, she was met with looks of anger before Lola and Lana turned their aggression towards her. This caused even a larger fight that quickly drew everyone else in. The trio first bumped into the sibling on the couch, causing even them to get involved in the brawl, before slamming into Lori, Lynn, and Luann. The former were still busy getting the pie off their face. At this point, the only sibling not involved in the brawl was little Lisa, who stared at them with a bored expression. Lori ended up getting thrown out of the brawl, and slammed into the wall. Her impact caused a few pictures above her to fall on her head as a result. Being only 13 years old, puberty was starting to hit her head. She was already wearing braces to correct her teeth, had a few zits, and more importantly, she was prone to sudden changes in her motion or expressing extreme volumes. Lori looked at her quisling siblings, and her anger built up. Her face turned red as she started grinding her teeth, something you shouldn't be doing when you have braces. All they had to do was listen for her for just 1 second. Was that too hard to ask? In the loud house, apparently so. "That's it!" Her voice boomed, causing everyone to stop what they were doing, and Lori stood up. with pure rage look etched on her face, making her siblings shrink in fear. All of you are spending the rest of your night in your rooms doing nothing. And if I hear so much as a peep, I'll turn you into a human pretzel. Is that clear? But Lincoln started. I said, is that clear? Everyone proceeded before hurtling and scampering up the stairs. Lori breathed heavily for a few moments before taking the mess around her. Given a heavy sigh, the teen started the process of cleaning up the living room and kitchen. By the time Rita and Lynn Sr. got home, she was already passed out on the couch. It oddly was quiet for the first time in the loud house, but the parents didn't quite question what Lori did. All they knew is that she did a good job watching over everyone. After the flashback ended, Lori sighed. And that was the first time I yelled at any of them, Lori said as she ended her story. That's quite the tale, Lori. How did you feel about it afterwards? Miranda asked. Terrible. I didn't want to have to do it, but they literally drove me far up the wall. I just lost control of myself. I can understand that. Your patience was worn thin by that point. But why do your siblings see you as nothing but bossy? I wanted to make up to them for after that incident, but most would say puberty is a bitch. Still, my emotions would get out of control. I would end up saying the wrong thing. I keep acting selfish at times when it's unwarranted, and when it comes to watching over the house when our parents are gone, if being bossy mean that it was the only way they listened to me, then that's what I think I'm stuck with. I realize that this made me look like a bad sister in their eyes, but if I can't really change their minds, then it might as well be the sister they think I am. The doctor wrote down more of this. But at the end, you still love them with all your heart, right? Lori nodded. Over the past 3 years of watching them, it feels like I've grown up so fast. I practically know what it feels like when she raised us, but the real confusing part for me is I'm always there for my siblings. Or I try to be, for the most part. I've always liked the joy of watching them accomplish stuff on their own. But it feels empty, like I wanted me to be with them for most of the part. But I get this knot in my stomach, knowing that I'm close to going to college and leaving the house. I'm just not sure what they'll do without me, if that makes sense. Miranda tapped her chin with her pen. Would you say you've done something selfish and crazy? Lori looked down at the ceiling in guilt. I had to deal with this with my siblings, but I've seen them having free rides in exchange for my chores. They didn't seem to like it too much, and decided to help Lenny earn her driver's license. Now Lenny's old enough to drive with a permit, but she's being Lenny. She failed her test so many times like a certain sponge on a kid's show. I'm actually surprised that DMV allows her to retake so many times. Thanks to my sisters, but mainly Lincoln. She learned to drive properly. Tears streamed down her eyes, but for some reason I couldn't let her succeed. I wanted to be the one to give her the lifts to wherever she needed to go. Doing made me feel warm, inside knowing I'm helping my siblings, so I ended up sabotaging Lenny's mind just to get her to fail the test. A few tears slid down her cheeks. The doctor now had a clearer picture and had one fury in mind. However, just to be sure, Lori, do you see yourself as being a second mother to your sisters and brother? The teen had a confused look. Not sure where Miranda got this. I guess. Might be because I watch over them a lot while growing up. Well, you may not know it, but I believe you have the issue when you're afraid of seeing your siblings becoming independent. Lori's eyes went wide at this. Well, wait. How can that be true? After watching your siblings over the last few years, you've clearly developed a strong bond for them. I'm not sure how often your parents leave them in your case, but you do seem to take a lot of pride in the fact that you care for them to the point it almost makes you feel that you're raising them yourself. As a mother, it's not uncommon to be worried about your babies growing more independent to the point where they leave the nest. You know at some point, they'll be your age, be ready to leave the house just like you will soon. And as you said, you feel as if you know Rita when she was raising you. As such, you find as being like a mother to the others. Lori took a moment to process this information. With her sisters close to her age, they felt like more actual siblings. But to the younger ones, she felt as if she'd do anything to protect them, like a standing sibling would. But for some reason, it didn't seem to sit well in her mind. While Lincoln had taken up the role of helping his sisters due to the fact that Lori herself didn't have the time, she was fully aware that such a task and a responsibility where Lincoln effectively grew up enough to handle it. That is also why she laughed at him all the time after her siblings managed to usurp control of their usual during their babysitting duties. Lori knew Lincoln couldn't handle it, and just as they fought, the house went into full chaos in the matter of minutes. It was a very grateful experience, as Lori Main finally had a sibling understood why she acts the way she does, because she knew it would help Lincoln, where he becomes the oldest kid in the house, after Lynn moves out, that is. I think you're right on that. But what should I do? I don't want to pretend to be the bossy, overbearing sister anymore. I want to be the sister I've always wanted to be, ever since I was 13. You can, Lori. You can do this. By letting your siblings branch out and grow up to be adults, you know how they will be. You can't be around them forever, but trying to make it so you can not only hurt them along the hall, but as for yourself, if you want to be the kind and caring sister you know you can be, then don't stop trying to change their minds about how they currently see you. The reason you came out of this dominating figure is because you did the one thing you shouldn't have done, giving up. By not giving in to their accusations, you could have changed their minds about this a long time ago. But as they say, there's no time like the present. Lori stared at Dr. Lopez for a moment. She was right. She gave up too soon to change her opinions about her, and the teen couldn't ask for a better doctor to go on about this. This was when something she'd have to do on her own. Lori will also be sure to thank Clyde for giving her family a really good therapist. Now, considering present issues, why did you get in a fight with Lenny over a dress? The 17-year-old hated thinking about that incident. I was just being the selfish bitch I had grown to being used to. I put my own pride ahead of my sister, and at the end, Lincoln was right, Mom was right. It was stupid pity of me to think like that. Me and Lenny could have looked like twins, but I had to open my stupid mouth. How close would you say you are to Lenny and Lincoln? Lenny is literally my roommate. We've been sharing the room since we were babies. At times when we get into arguments, but at the end we still love each other with all of our hearts. As for Lincoln, Lori took a pause, remembering the fond memories she had with him. However, this brought up many times as she acted like a total prick. While I don't show it, I love my brother to the very bottom of my soul. When he first came into this world, I still hate myself for literally being against him due to the fact that he was a boy. Miranda gave a weary look. It was at the time I thought boys were gross. Okay, Lori added. But over time, I quickly warmed up to him. Luna was the first to hold him as a baby. I did my part in clothing, feeding him, and even playing with him. Lori gave a soft smile. I still remember the times I fed him ice cream. He still likes mint chip, from what I can remember. I also played with him on the swings whenever I took him to the park. He'd always say, "Higher, Lori, higher." As he got older, when I started calling him twerp, occasionally it was used as an insult, but it became an affectionate nickname for him. He didn't seem to mind it. Hell, Lincoln is the reason why I have a job right now. He even filled me in for one night when I had to work during prom. So you don't see any 11-year-old boy doing that. In response, I'm practically the reason he has a girlfriend now. Even though I did throw some stuff at him in anger to one point, I even got him a new gaming advisor after accidentally sitting on his old one. Although it was rather a colorful message to me whenever I get out of it without telling him. What is this about? I was in a bit of my moody days when he stumbled into the room by accident. I threatened to turn him into a human pretzel to get him to leave. I wouldn't actually do it. I would just don't want to be bothered at the moment. I realized I should have apologized to him first before getting a replacement game for him. A frown had formed on her face. Lincoln's done a lot for me and my sisters. He's been the best brother I could have asked for, but what does it mean by get his response? Being punished around? Treated as if his opinion didn't matter? Getting sent to the hospital all because of a stupid fight I started? She gripped the armrest in anger. Lincoln may have been a nuisance at times, but it should never have come to this. Now he's living in fear of me and my sisters, and God knows what else. I've been acting like nothing but a convincing bitch who uses her age and bargaining chip just to get what she wants. The teen gave a few sniffles. I just want to take it back. I want to take it all back, the times I treated him than a brother and was meant to him. But life doesn't work that way. Miranda kept kept a stoic expression as she watched the teen. Don't worry, Lori. In time, you will make it up to your brother. It will be a long process, but at first I need to work with Lincoln so you could talk to him without the poor boy going into a panic attack. If you're gonna do that, promise me you'll do everything you can to bring the little boy I used to know, Lori said, with her tone sincere and very serious. I haven't failed a patient yet, and I don't intend to in the future. Now, is there something else on your mind? Perhaps concerning your parents? The doctor pointed out. Lori gazed on the floor for a moment. Right. It bothers me that my mom and dad had their room while the rest of us were fighting, and when I think about it, any parent would have put a stop to this a long time ago. It was only just recently that my mom scolded us. I would also point it out on April Fool's Day they did hid in Lisa's bunker. To be fair, Luann's pranks would make anyone hide in fear. I know they would want us to handle our own conflicts, but after what happened last week, it almost seems as they have what Lincoln has. I've discussed this with Rita, and she wants to assure that everyone isn't afraid of their own kids, but she did say you girls are hard to control. Lori could have discussed this with Rita. She wants to assure that everyone wasn't afraid of their own kids, but, of course, her 11 kids was an amount of getting to control. Heck, it's even hard enough to aid your parents when everyone else had needed the same thing. But it did help the teen assuring the parents wouldn't end up like their little brother. Is there anything else on your mind, Lori? The 17-year-old thought for a moment, but drawing a blank, she knew what she had to do. She needed time and patience. In the long run, she hoped to remove the current image her siblings had on her. The teen shook her head. No. Miranda nodded. Okay then. All right. Thank you for your time, dear. And it seems like I have enough time to talk with one more person. Who would that be? I wish to speak to... She looked over her notes. Lisa. Lori nodded before getting up and headed out of the door. Miranda probably could have spoke with Lenny first to see how she felt, the fight, the fallout of it, but this was too good of an opportunity to pass up. If Lisa was as smart as the parents were suggesting, then this would make a really interesting session for her.